This episode of Into the Music is brought to you by Coda Music. It's a great way to discover new music and listen to all of your favorite artists for free. The link is in the description. In today's episode we're going to explore Eminem. Eminem is one of the best-selling artists in music history, easily the biggest crossover success ever seen in rap. To call him hip-hop's Elvis is correct to a degree, but it's largely inaccurate. Certainly, he was the first white rapper since the Beastie Boys to garner both sales and critical respect, but his impact has exceeded this confining distinction. On sheer verbal skills, Eminem is one of the greatest MCs of his generation, rapid, fluid, dexterous, and unpredictable, capable of pulling off long-form narratives or withering asides. And thanks to his mentor Dr. Dre, has had music to match, thick, muscular loops evoking the terror and paranoia conjured by MS lyrics. To be certain, a great deal of the controversy Eminem courted, during the turn of the millennium, there was no greater pop cultural bogeyman than Marshall Mathers, came through in how his violent fantasias, often directed at his mother or his wife, intertwined with flights of absurdity that appealed to listeners too young to absorb the psychodramas Eminem explored on his hit albums, the Slim Shady LP and the Marshall Mathers LP. With hits My Name Is and the Real Slim Shady, he ruled the airwaves, but it wasn't long before some detractors acknowledged his depth, helped in part by singles like the Mournful Stan, written from the perspective of an obsessed fan. Eminem capitalized on this forward momentum by crossing over onto the big screen with 8 Mile, earning acclaim for his performance and an Oscar for the film's anthem, Lose Yourself. A number of demons have led him to withdraw periodically, but has always returned with mid-career rejuvenations like 2009's Relapse or 2017's Revival. Born Marshall Mathers in the Kansas City, Missouri suburb of St. Joseph, Eminem spent his childhood between Missouri and Michigan, settling in Detroit by his teens. At the age of 14, he began rapping with a high school friend, the two adopting the names Mannix and Eminem, which soon morphed into Eminem. Under this name, Mathers entered battle rapping, a struggle dramatized in the fictionalized 8 Mile. Initially, the predominantly African-American audience didn't embrace Eminem, but soon his skills gained him a reputation, and he was recruited to join several rap groups. The first of these was the New Jacks, and after they disbanded, he joined Soul Intent, who released a single in 1995. This single also featured Proof, and the two rappers broke off on their own to form D12, a 6-member crew that functioned more as a Wu-Tang-style collective than a regularly performing group. As he was struggling to establish his career, he and his girlfriend Kim had a daughter, Haley, forcing him to spend less time rapping and more time providing for his family. During this time, he assembled his first album, Infinite, which received some underground attention in 1996, not all of it positive. After its release, Eminem developed his Slim Shady alter ego, a persona that freed him to dig deep into his dark id, something he needed as he faced a number of personal upheavals, beginning with a bad split with Kim, which led him to move in with his mother and increase his use of drugs and alcohol, capped off by an unsuccessful suicide attempt. All this Sturmont-Drang was channeled into the Slim Shady EP, which is where he first demonstrated many of the quirks that became his trademark, including his twitchy, nasal rhyming and disturbingly violent imagery. The Slim Shady EP opened many doors, the most notable of them being a contract with Interscope Records. After Eminem came in second at the 1997 Rap Olympics MC Battle in Los Angeles, Interscope head Jimmy Iovine sought him out, giving the EP to Drive. Dre, who proved eager to work with Eminem. They quickly cut M's Interscope debut in the fall of 1998, during which time Marshall reconciled with Kim and married her, and the Slim Shady LP appeared early in 1999, preceded by the single My Name Is. Both were instant blockbusters and Eminem turned into a lightning rod for attention, earning praise and disdain for his violent, satirical fantasias. Eminem quickly followed the Slim Shady LP with the Marshall Mathers LP in the summer of 2000. By this point, there was little doubt that Eminem was one of the biggest stars in pop music. The album sold by the truckload, selling almost 2 million copies within the first 2 weeks of release, but Mathers felt compelled to tweak other celebrities, provoking pop stars in his lyrics, an insane clown posse's entourage in person, providing endless fodder for tabloids. This gossip blended with growing criticism about his violent and homophobic lyrics, and under this fire, he reunited his old crew, D12, releasing an album in 2001, then touring with the group. During this furor, he had his biggest hit in the form of the moody ballad Stand. Performed at the Grammys as a duet with Elton John, thereby undercutting some accusations of homophobia, the song helped Eminem to cross over to a middlebrow audience, setting the stage for the ultimate crossover of 2001's 8 Mile. Directed by Curtis Hanson, best known as the Oscar-nominated director of LA Confidential, the gritty drama fictionalized Eminem's pre-fame Detroit days and earned considerable praise, culminating in one of his biggest hits with the theme Lose Yourself, which won Mathers an Oscar. After all this, he retreated from the spotlight to record his third album, The Eminem Show. Preceded by the single Without Me, the album turned into another huge hit, albeit not quite as strong as its predecessor, and there were some criticisms suggesting that Eminem wasn't expanding his horizons much. Encore, released late in 2004, did reach into more mature territory, notably on the anti-George W. Bush mosh, but most of the controversy generated by the album was for behind-the-scenes events, a bus crash followed by cancelled dates and a stint in rehab. Rumors of retirement flew, and the 2005 appearance of Curtain Call, the hits did nothing to dampen them, nor did the turmoil of 2006, a year that saw Mathers remarrying and divorcing Kim within a matter of 4 months, as well as the shooting death of Proof at a Detroit club. During all this, Em did some minor studio work, but soon he dropped off the radar completely, retreating to his Detroit home. He popped up here and there, most notably debuting the hip-hop channel Shade 45 for Sirius Satellite Radio in September 2008, but it wasn't until early 2009 that he mounted a comeback with Relapse, an album whose very title alluded to some of Mathers' struggles with prescription drugs, but it also announced that after an extended absence, Slim Shady was back. While not quite a blockbuster, the album went platinum, and Eminem followed it at the end of the year with an expanded version of Relapse dubbed Relapse, refill that added outtakes and new recordings. Recovery, initially titled Relapse 2, was issued in June 2010. The album debuted on top of the Billboard 200 chart, where it remained for 5 consecutive weeks, while its lead-off single, Not Afraid, debuted on top of the magazine's Hot 100 Singles chart. The year 2010 also brought Eminem back together with Royce da 59 under the Bad Meets Evil moniker. In turn, June 2011's Hell, the sequel marked the release of their first EP as a duo and, barring the previous month's release of key EP track Fast Lane as a single, was their first batch of new material since the 1999 double A-side. After an intense period of recording, Eminem announced in August 2013 that his next solo album would be a nostalgically themed set of new material entitled the Marshall Mathers LP2, which landed in early November. The album featured the singles Berserk, Rap God, and Survival, plus the chart-topping hit The Monster with Rihanna. In 2014, new tracks landed on the double disc Shady 15, which celebrated the Shady label's 15th birthday. The singles Phenomenal and Kings Never Die featuring Gwen Stefani arrived a year later, both taken from the Southpaw soundtrack. Eminem resurfaced in October 2017 with a freestyle anti-Trump rap. The track didn't appear on Revival, the December 2017 album that was filled with cameos, including appearances by Beyoncé Walk on Water, Ed Sheeran River, and Pink Mimi. His 7th straight chart topper, it ultimately failed to match the sales heights of past efforts, despite the international success of the River single. The next year, without warning, Eminem issued his surprise 10th album, Kamikaze. The set featured appearances by Joyner Lucas, Royce da 59, and Jesse Reyes, as well as Venom, from the film of the same name. In January of 2020, he repeated the surprise release approach with 11th studio album Music to Be Murdered By. The album featured production from Dr. Dre and cameos from the now usual host of special guests, this time featuring Q-Tip, Ed Sheeran, Anderson, Pac, and the late Juice WRLD, among many others. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard charts.